Hi, I have a confession to make. Engineering was something that I was not supposed to do. My parents said that I have to do it, and I did that. Back then there was no counseling, there was nothing that could tell us what actually I wanted to become. I may have become a radio jockey or maybe a host of a talk show, but that did not happen. Anyway, today we're gonna change that, and I'll tell you how in a few minutes. Hello everyone, welcome to edCafe. Every guest that we bring you here is a unique experience in itself, and the knowledge that we gain from them is precious. Today we have a guest who is someone that I relate to personally, and I'm gonna take it to him for the introduction, and he's gonna tell you something that you guys really need to know. I give it over to Jishnu, founder of iDigizen. Thank you, Jishnu, for coming. Thank you for joining us for the show. Tell us about yourself, tell our audience what iDigizen is, who you are, and I'm sure they are very excited to know.
Thank you, Kanesh, for that warm introduction, and thank you for setting the stage for what I'm here to talk about. So I am the co-founder of iDigizen. We are a company who believes in the motto "work for passion." That's something that we came up with, hashtag, right? And what we firmly believe in is if you work for your passion and make a career out of it, you'll never work a single day in your life, right? So with that in mind, we started our journey to making a solution which will help, just like in the story you said, you were not supposed to be an engineer, but you ended up being that anyway because I guess, you didn't have enough information, you didn't know a lot about yourself, and, there's multiple factors that actually go into it. So what we have developed for now is what we call as an app which has got an integrated profile in it called iProfile. Okay. Where a student can today come and log all their learning data. So if you look at a student's journey today, it is just not confined in the schools anymore. They're doing a lot of things outside of schools, a lot of co-curricular activities are happening outside, skilling that happens outside. But the data for it is all scattered. There's no one single platform which creates a certain portfolio of that child. So we have the iProfile which enables a student to do just that. So the very basic problem that we solve is you at least have one record and one profile which gives you a 360-degree view of what you're doing. Now with that taken in mind, if you have everything into one place, we can summarize that and start highlighting your strengths and weaknesses. Mostly strengths and your interest areas. And if you get to know those interest areas, then you can have very systematic guidance into what you should become. And this is something that is driven out of the data which you have accumulated for your school years. So we recommend that students start doing it from 6th, so that on 9th, when you're standing at the cusp of your first major decision, that whether it's science, commerce, or what, you don't take a decision at that point in time. You have your learning record of your last 4 or 5 years to guide you, right? And that becomes the base of the company. And we have other research work that is going on right now. We are working with psychologists and career counselors to build a very unique and novel grading system through which you will be able to connect all of the ECAs, all the varied ECAs and your academics that you're doing into a single crux of what you are. And through that, you'll be also able to predict where the market is going and how you are best placed with your skills and interests to exploit that.
Wow, it's like a career-based Aadhaar card for every student.
It's we would like to call it a GPS. Like if you were, I don't know our viewers. I'm sure the viewers who come from the 2000s era where there was no Google Maps. You have to go somewhere. You just take the car and hope to God that somebody gives you the right directions.
Yeah, right. I understand that part. So, so you've created the iProfile. I'm sure that you're collecting the data, all the data points and everything. This is one thing that comes to my mind when you talk about collecting data outside the curriculum, right? So when you talk about collecting the curriculum academic data, it becomes pretty easy because there are report cards, there are certain standard grading methods, and it is very generic. So wherever the student goes, even if the student is changing schools, you are able to you can map that data to your system. But when it comes to non-academic data, if a student is learning, say, taking music lessons, or and few months down the line, even if he changes his the faculty changes, the music faculty changes, so the way of teaching, way of grading changes, or maybe some sort of level is changed, or maybe he changes the vocab or vocation altogether, maybe he moves towards swimming or cricket for that matter. How do you grade that? How do you bring that into the system in a generic level?
So there are two parts to the story. One is that how do you bring all of these activities that are happening outside of school into the system. So we have a very generic form that a student can fill up and then just update all of those records. Now there are two ways of doing that. One, you as a student do it yourself, and the second is that we are also tying up with people outside of the school who are imparting these kind of education to directly feed the data into the app. And what happens there is, since it is directly coming from the educator who's part of the system, that comes digitally verified. So you already have a digitally verified portfolio going for you. And when the university asks for your portfolio, you don't have to run around trying to validate everything and get a stamp of authenticity from anyone. It is already digitally verified with a digital signature. That's how you collect the data. Now the second part of the question that you said is, how do you grade it? Like, there's music, somebody's doing music, and then suddenly, because from 6th to 7th and 8th, these are the formative years of a child, and you don't really have one fixed interest. It can vary. You can like cricket one day and then suddenly wake up and say, okay, why don't I try tennis? So this is where the research work is happening, and I'll give you a very small teaser into it, where we are trying to say that if you're doing an activity, you can break it down into the microscopic levels of the skills that you use in that activity. And if you were to break it down into the base skill levels, then you can see different activities actually map into certain skills which are common across. For example, if you are doing music, you will probably have a very good year for music, but also you may also be creative, right? Because for music you need creativity. Now from music, if you were to go on to art also needs creativity. So it does not mean that because you were in music and you suddenly shifted to art, your entire I would say structure of what you look like in terms of skills changes dramatically, because you're still going through the same fabric of creativity. Right. So for example, one of the examples that I had read in a book is about a person who changed the career from being a radio jockey to an opera singer, right? And how the person explains it is, when you're a radio jockey, the one thing that you liked doing was talking to people, right? So on the face of it, if you look at it, okay, a radio jockey to an opera singer, that's a big leap. But if you break it down into its microscopic levels, she still liked to talk to people, and she was a people person. So it wasn't a big leap, right? And that's where that's the crux of the research, and there are
because in a way you're simply trying to understand. So radio jockey to opera singer, maybe both the vocations have got the same apprehensions, where people are connected. Just the only thing changes is that now in one people are only listening to you, and the other one, people are also seeing you by listening to you. So but more or less it's a people job, and if you are able to face,
so I always view it as you need a core skill, and then you pick up some ancillary skills on top of it to be what you are, right?
So that's what
so as long as your core skill is intact, picking up ancillary skills on top of it to morph you is not a big change at all.
It's not.
But of course, there are people who would probably want to change from the core itself. That's a separate story altogether.
That's a separate story, yes. But so you've created. So let's say that you've created an iProfile for almost every student that you wanted to.
Right.
Maybe you're targeting 1 million students or 1 billion students, and you've created an iProfile.
That's the hope.
So let's say you've created a iProfile for 1 billion students.
Right.
What is next?
So next would be, as you said, like when you did engineering and where you ended up in. I have also seen through my journey as an engineer, a lot of people have dropped out of engineering and gone into different streams. Like I have a friend who's doing YouTube videos for cooking, right? So now you only figure that out, let's say 5-6 years if you're lucky, into the journey, and then there are people who have figured it out like 10 years into the journey. Now I always debate in my head, what if somebody had given that person a very specific guided input in terms of, you probably should not do engineering but go full steam ahead into cooking because that's what you love to do, right? And then I understand that work for passion can be a little loaded, where you also have to weigh the earning potential of what you're trying to do also. We would not want that person to go full steam ahead into something which does not give you back anything in return. So that's where the next phase would come in, where your iProfile is going to drive data-driven systemic guidance, but it's also grounded in reality based on what the market is. So we have a very unique, or a very simple diagram that we project to people, where we say this is your passion as a circle, and then there's your market as a circle. You want to be where the intersection is, right? Because your passion, if it solves a problem in the market which the market needs, that's a win-win situation. So the iProfile figures out your passion, and then there'll be another part of the story within the iDigizen ecosystem which will figure out where the market is, and then we'll give you the data guided recommendations into what you can become.
Is there anything down the line after with the iProfile? So once you have the iProfile, are you saying that you will do some sort of analysis, like a psychometric analysis or something, or is it something there is a new methodology that
so we would like to call it to be data driven? So the reason why we call it data driven is because whenever you're updating your iProfile, so suppose you started updating your profile, and let's say in 7th you said I want to do law, right? And I looked at your certificates and I said, the system looks at the certificates, I don't have to be present, where it says, law requires you to sell your idea to someone. So public speaking is a very important metric there, right? And if I don't see anything which relates to public speaking in your profile, the system will automatically tell you, it won't tell you can't do it, because that's something that we don't sign up to at all. We say that you can do anything that you put your mind to. The system will tell you, we don't have enough information right now to say that you will be good at law, so why don't you try ECAs which involves public speaking and see how that goes. Maybe while doing that, you will also figure out that maybe law was not the thing that you wanted to do in the first place, right? But as and when you start doing these different activities, your data also evolves. You start feeding your certificates or your learning journey back into the system, and then your recommendations also evolve accordingly. It might say that yes, you're absolutely built for law, go for it, but it might also give you, okay, law is something, but have you considered these options? Maybe that person was not even aware of those options, and maybe one of them clicks. Maybe that person says, oh, that is something that I didn't even think of, and I enjoy it a little bit more. Right.
So this idea, the concept of iProfile relates very much with the new education policy.
Yes.
Right now, since
I was very happy to see the new education policy.
Yeah, it is actually, because it says that a student can take up these vocations, and he has to, right? And if he or she is switching courses or the institution, the certificate, that particular certificate or certificates for that matter, would help the student to get those credits increased or decreased in whatever manner.
Right.
So this becomes, so I understand that this becomes a profile for a student, like जैसे मैं 10th का certificate लेकर घूम रहा हूँ, तो I'll also carry maybe a digital version of my profile, or a card maybe for that matter, whatever the media is. And I can simply show it to anyone, and that person can access it, and with the right mindset he can assess what if I'm capable for that vocation or provision, whatever that is, wherever I am. I get that part.
Sure.
But is there anything, so you just said that you try to make the students analyze, or a child analyze the difference between or the similarities or whatever there is between the passion and the market structure that there is, right? There are certain places where of course the passion is very high, and but that vocation may not be that market friendly, or let's say the opportunities are not that high in that particular market or particular vocation. But if let's say I want to be a cook, with an example it would be much clearer. I want to be a cook, but I want to be a cook of a very unique cuisine for that matter, right? And but that cuisine is not that prominent in the country, or maybe in the associated countries as well, like in next there are 5, 8, 10 countries that I can go to, but none of those countries would support this kind of cuisine for that matter, right? Would that would your counseling, your system suggest the student to choose a different vocation altogether?
So the system never really gives you very pinpointed sort of recommendations, as in if you say you want to be a cook, you said sure, just become a cook. It'll give you an array of fitments, right? So now it's an interesting thought that you came up with, where you said, okay, what if what you're trying to be does not fit into the market? Now the level of granularity that you went to, that you want to become let's say a sushi chef, where you probably not find a lot of takers in India, that level of granularity we have not planned for. But of course, as a cook, you should be able to cook whatever you want, right? And then there you have to, of course, the market will have to speak to you. You cannot be a sushi chef in, let's say, a place where does not really eat sushi. But having said that, I'm also a firm believer in evangelizing markets, right? So maybe if you market it well, and if you're a good entrepreneur in itself, maybe you can build a sushi brand out of it. For example, when I say sushi, when I was a kid, I never saw a sushi bar ever. But if you go to South Delhi, there are a few who charge you a bomb, right? So that's where we are also trying to evangelize the market and trying to instill entrepreneurial spirit into people. For example, one of the sayings that I, it's a Bengali song which is very close to my heart, where it says, "Jodi tor shat chile jo na ashe tor ekla chalo," right? That's actually an entrepreneurial spirit, right? I mean, think about it this way. When I was a kid, chai used to be there in tapparis. Now Chayo is probably $1 million company plus, right? So we have started a very unique program called iDigizen, which is entrepreneurship workshop for kids 6 to 12, where we say, you come, and right now, you're free birds basically. You tell me what you like to do: drawing, sketching, running, whatever. And in the workshop, we'll teach you how to build a very small business out of it. The most basic example that I can give you is, I've seen a lot of people who are good at baking. Just don't do baking at home and stay there. Try and test the market out, saying, if you're in your community, take help from your parents, reach out to their contacts, and I had to sell it.
Yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
That starts, some wheels turning in your head in terms of, okay, this is my skill, but there is a whole new journey how to market it also. So coming back to your example, if you were a cook and you said, okay, I'm sorry, what did you example? Did you take an example?
The cook for a particular cuisine.
Let's say sushi.
Yeah,
right?
sushi.
Let's wind the clocks back in 2000. There probably would be a sushi chef would have opened the first sushi bar in Delhi, right? And now look at it.
Yeah.
Right. So you can be that one person. And I am a firm believer of free mind thinking and free market. So I would not sit here and predict कि क्या हो सकता है. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part of it, right?
That's you're absolutely right there. That you can always create a market around it.
Yeah.
If there isn't any. Funny thing. I was traveling to Ludhiana,
Right.
and usually when you go to any part of Punjab, you end up expecting all the spicy Punjabi food.
Yeah.
And local cuisine is very prominent there.
Right.
Even within the locals, they don't prefer outside food that much. And at the core of Ludhiana, I was at the hotel, and there was this restaurant, sushi bar again, in the heart of Punjab.
Right.
And it was full. People were
Imagine
eating.
in Punjab a sushi bar.
Yes. And it was full on a weekday.
Right.
I was so surprised that I happened to ask the hoteliers that how come a sushi bar? They said that it's probably the only sushi bar within 100 kilometers. You will
And you have
not
to be that
find,
niche.
yes. Right? And people come here even from Ludhiana. People come here from Chandigarh to have the sushi because it's so good.
Right.
Who have a knack for it. So yeah, makes sense. And
So coming back to your question, the system will probably give you facts.
Facts.
Right.
Maybe it will ask.
It'll say, I want to be a sushi bar. I don't know how the system will. The system will probably tell you, the market cap for that right now is not there.
Yeah.
But then I will also not tell that person. The system will be very careful to say that you can't do it.
Yeah. So you can always ask the student to upskill.
You'll say, if you're asking me as a system, what is the market cap today? I'll tell you, okay, it's probably not there. But go ahead. If you're passionate about it, and if you are a good problem solver, like the entrepreneurial spirit is there, you'll find a way around it.
Yeah.
It may not be exactly what you thought of right then and there, but you will always find a way out of it.
That's a good thing. That's a really nice way to put it, and I firmly believe that the data driven profile that you're trying to create is definitely a way forward for the students, for the education system, especially for if it is happening from the grassroots level.
Right.
Because these kind of profiles are being created when a student enters the higher education sector, but at school level the curriculums are basically the only things that student cares for. But then again, now that the education system is evolving, students are being driven towards new vocations,
Right.
So new hobbies, extracurricular activities. This, I believe, will give them some sort of substance, and it will. So in a way, these things, the music or non-academic activities, are very essential for every student, for
absolutely.
that matter, right? So in a way, you put up you by your iProfile, you are able to certify those things and curate them in a manner where they also feel that, okay, these there is some sort of value to these
Yes. So,
non-academic activities,
yes.
and this is something that I feel that will
Right.
bring in very
so
radical
the
change.
biggest driving force for that was if you cannot quantify something, it's very hard to sell that to somebody.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, whether it be a job or an entrepreneur, whatever you end up being, you will always be selling something or the other.
Yeah.
That's how you make money. And if you look at the traditional scholastic subjects, they have a very easy way of grading, right? How are you in science? I scored 90. Okay, you're pretty good, right? How are you in cricket? There's no grading system, right? So that's where this research comes in, where we say that what if we could invent a grading system which is going to also give weightage to these things. And then you can talk in a language which I don't have to understand cricket to tell you, okay, you're good at these things.
Yeah.
That is what we're trying to enable. And if you can quantify it, then it becomes actionable. Then you know what you're chasing.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a very nice way to put it, and that is something that we firmly believe in as well. Any message that you would want to give to our audience today, where I mean, this is something really unique, and I think they can benefit from this. Any piece.
So the only message
advice?
I have is, again, I'll go back to our. So we put a lot of thought into the company, right? And then we ended up with just these 3 words: work for passion, right? If you are passionate about something, and if you put your whole heart and soul into it, then there'll be other things that will always come in. You can pick up more skills, but as long as your core values are intact, you will always find a way in the market. And today, to survive in the market, you have to have a niche.
Yeah.
Right. You cannot be a generic person anymore with the AI and everything coming in. I know people are scared, in me including, but I'm also hopeful that this will also open a new market, a new kind of market. And if you're passionate about something, then you'll be able to navigate it with flying colors.
Good. Thank you very much. So, work for passion, that's the mantra for today. This is going on my desk as well. We have a tradition of getting a mug signed by all our guests. This goes on our wall. If you can sign it.
Sure.
Ah, yes, please.
Thank you so much.
Another one. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this was today, and next time we'll bring in another guest with another unique experience. Till then, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.